Hey everyone, and welcome. So let's just jump right in. For the longest time, when you talked about business success, you were really only talking about one thing: money. Cold, hard cash. But isn't that a bit like judging a movie just by its box office numbers? You miss the whole story. Today, we're going to unpack a framework that totally rewrites that definition of success. It's called the triple bottom line. I mean, it's a huge question, right? How do we really measure if a company is successful? Is it just about that final number on a balance sheet? Think about it. Is a company truly a success if it makes $1 billion but, say, pollutes a river or has a completely miserable and underpaid workforce? That's the challenge we're digging into today. You know, for decades, maybe even centuries, the business world had a pretty simple answer. It was all about this one thing: profit, the bottom line. That was it. That was the ultimate report card. Every single strategy, every operation was basically engineered to make that one number go up. It was simple, it was clear, and for a very, very long time, everybody just agreed it was enough. But here's the kicker. What if that laser focus on profit was actually giving us a really flat, kind of one-dimensional picture of a three-dimensional world? What if we've been missing two other equally important bottom lines that really tell us about a company's real long-term health and value? So, here's our game plan for this explainer. We'll start by looking beyond just the profit motive. Then we'll introduce this three-dimensional view, break down its three pillars, see how they all interact, and finally talk about what it actually means to achieve true sustainability. Sound good? Let's go. All right, section 1. Let's go beyond the profit motive and really start questioning that traditional view. And this quote, this really gets right to the heart of the problem. When is a business decision said to be sustainable? How to measure the performance of business decision in terms of sustainability. See, it's not enough to just say you want to be sustainable. You've got to be able to measure it. And the triple bottom line framework, well, it was designed to answer exactly these kinds of questions, giving us a real, tangible way to check performance. And that brings us perfectly to the solution, a really powerful framework for looking at business in a completely new way. Let's see how this all comes together. So what is it exactly? Well, the triple bottom line, or TBL for short, was a term first coined by a guy named John Elkington way back in 1994. The core idea is actually pretty simple, but it's revolutionary. It says a company's success shouldn't just be measured by its financial performance. Nope, it should also be measured by its social and environmental impact. This completely changes traditional accounting, turning it into what we now call sustainability reporting. And that means measuring, disclosing, and being accountable for your performance towards sustainable development. Big stuff. And this visual really shows you the core of the model. Instead of just one bottom line, we now have three. We've got people, which represents the social impact, planet, which is the environmental impact, and of course profit, the traditional economic value. These are the three pillars of modern business success. Now, you might be thinking this idea just appeared out of nowhere, but it really didn't. It actually built on this growing global conversation. It kind of started with this idea of sustainable development in the 1987 Brundtland Report, and it picked up steam at a major UN conference in '92. The triple bottom line was the framework that finally gave businesses a concrete way to apply all these big ideas. Okay, time to get into the nitty-gritty. To really get a grip on TBL, we need to break down exactly what each of these three pillars is measuring. And hey, for anyone studying for the SCMPE exams, pay close attention here because getting the keywords right is absolutely crucial. All right, let's break these down line by line, just like you need to for an exam. First up, planet. The basic logic here is measuring a company's impact on the natural world. Now, for full marks, your exam keywords are environmental impact and ecological footprints. Got it? Okay. Next, we have people. Logically, this is the social equity bottom line. It looks at how a company treats its employees, the community, and society as a whole. Your key exam terms here are social equity, human capital, and ethical behavior. And finally, profit. No surprises here, this is the traditional measure of the economic value a company creates. But the crucial exam phrase you absolutely need is adding value to shareholders. Okay, so having these three pillars is great, but here's where the real magic happens. The true genius of the triple bottom line isn't just looking at them separately. No way. It's all about understanding how they overlap and influence each other. This is where we get the deepest insights. Just take a look at this Venn diagram. Those overlapping areas, they create totally new goals. So where social and environmental concerns meet, we get what's called bearable. Where social and economic concerns meet, we get equitable.
And where environmental and economic factors overlap, that's called viable. But the sweet spot, the ultimate goal, is right there in the middle, sustainable.
This table just breaks it down perfectly. Let's walk through it. Look at that first row. If a company is good for the planet and good for people, but it's not profitable, well, its practices are bearable. But let's be real, it's not going to survive. Okay, second row. If it's good for people and it makes a profit, but it totally trashes the planet, it's equitable, but again, not sustainable in the long run. Now, the third row shows a business that's good for the planet, it's profitable, but it exploits its workers. That's viable, but it's unethical. So you see the point? The crucial takeaway is you only achieve true sustainability when all three of those pillars are acceptable. Okay, so we've got the theory down. That's great, but let's make this real. How does this model actually apply to businesses we see every single day? Yeah, let's ask that question directly. What does an equitable but not sustainable business actually look like? Or what about one that's viable but still not sustainable? Thinking through these real-world scenarios is absolutely key to mastering this concept, especially for your case studies. And here are some fantastic examples to help you apply that case study lens. Okay, think about a business making super cheap plastic bags. It provides jobs, right? And it's profitable, so it's good for people and profit, which makes it equitable. But we all know the terrible environmental damage plastic bags cause, so it completely fails the planet test and is definitely not sustainable. Now, what about a tobacco company? It might be very profitable and have an efficient supply chain, making it viable. But given the huge negative health impact on people, well, it fails the people test, and therefore it's not sustainable either. And this leads us to maybe the single most important conceptual shift that TBL introduces. You see, traditional business focuses on the shareholder, the owners, the investors. But TBL forces a company to consider all of its stakeholders. That means employees, customers, suppliers, the local community, and the environment. It's a much broader and, frankly, more responsible way to look at things. Okay, we have covered a lot of ground. Before we wrap this up, let's lock in these concepts with a quick-fire recap. These are the essential terms you have to know for your exams. You ready? Okay, let's go. First, the framework itself, triple bottom line, or TBL. The three pillars, people, planet, and profit. Next up, the three critical intersections, bearable, equitable, and viable. And all of that leads to the ultimate goal, sustainable. And finally, remember the underlying philosophy, shifting to a stakeholder approach. Go ahead, take a second and lock those in. So, I'm going to leave you with this thought. The next time you're analyzing a company for a case study, or honestly, even just buying a coffee, try to see it through this TBL lens. Are they only focused on profit, or are they trying to build real value for people and the planet too? Once you start applying this framework, it really changes how you see the entire world of business. Thanks so much for joining me.